Welcome, my fabulous future RNs, to Discussions with Dr. G. I'm Dr. G, your favorite sarcastic nursing professor, who's here to make sure you don't accidentally pickle your patients in the wrong IV fluids. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hospital's ultimate bar menu, IV fluids. Whether your patient needs a stay-put saline or a skinny latte hypotonic, or maybe even a tequila shot hypertonic, we're serving up the knowledge you absolutely must know to keep your patients safe and your nursing license intact. Let's get this fluid party started. Let's kick things off with the basics. What's actually in those IV bags we're always hanging? I know. It looks just like water with a fancy label. But trust me, there's a lot more going on. So, IV fluids come in three main flavors: isotonic, hypotonic, and hypertonic. And yes, I said flavors, but please don't taste them. It's a terrible analogy, I know, but you get what I mean. Isotonic fluids. These are the chill friends at a party. They just hang out where you put them. Their osmolarity is about the same as blood, somewhere in that 275 to 295 milliosmol per liter range. So, when you give something like 0.9% sodium chloride, or normal saline, this is hospital house wine. It stays in the blood vessels, expands blood volume, but doesn't cause any wild fluid shifts. Lactated ringers is another one, kind of like saline's fancy cousin, with some extra electrolytes and lactate thrown in. Then there's D5W, which is a bit of a trickster. It starts off isotonic, but as soon as the dextrose gets gobbled up by the cells, you're left with just water, and suddenly it's acting hypotonic. I always get students with that one inevitable question, but Dr. G, isn't D5W isotonic? I'm like, well, yeah, but then no. It's like a plot twist in a bad soap opera. Now, hypotonic fluids. These are the hipsters of the IV world. They don't want to stay mainstream, so they move water into the cell. Think 0.45 sodium chloride or half normal saline. These are great for cellular dehydration or hypernatremia, but you got to be careful. You give hypotonic fluids to someone with increased intracranial pressure, burns, or trauma, and you're basically inviting disaster. And remember, D5W turns into a hypotonic solution after metabolism, so don't let that one sneak up on you. And then we have hypertonic fluids, the shots of tequila at the IV bar. These are intense, dramatic, and not for casual use. We're talking 3% or 5% sodium chloride, D10W, or even D5 normal saline. They pull water out of the cells and into the bloodstream, making your cells shrink. Hypertonic fluids are used for things like severe hyponatremia, cerebral edema, but you have to monitor sodium and neurostatus like a hawk. Seriously, these are not fluids you just hang and walk away from. So, to sum it up, isotonic fluids stay put, hypotonic fluids move into the cells, and hypertonic fluids yank water out of the cells. And if you ever get confused, just remember that D5W is your wild card. It starts isotonic, ends up hypotonic. So let's talk about why you'd pick one fluid over another, because believe me, picking the wrong one is how you turn a bit dehydrated into ICU admission. So when do you reach for each type? If your patient's lost blood or their blood pressure's tanking, you want isotonic fluids like normal saline or lactated ringers. The goal here is to keep the fluid in the blood vessels, right where it belongs. If you're dealing with hypernatremia, too much salt in the blood, you want to dilute that out. So hypotonic fluids like half normal saline or D5W are your go-tos. But, and this is a big but, if your patient has edema or is already in fluid overload, hypotonic fluids are a no-go. You don't want to drown them from the inside. And for severe hyponatremia, especially if there are neurological symptoms, you might need hypertonic saline, but you do that very carefully under close supervision, like don't even blink. Let me give you a quick case study. You have a patient with a traumatic brain injury and someone suggests hypotonic fluids. Hypotonic solutions can cause cerebral edema, which is the last thing you want in someone with a brain injury. In these cases, you might actually use hypertonic saline to pull the fluid out of the brain cells and therefore reduce swelling. But again, you have to monitor sodium and neurostatus constantly because the risks are real. We're talking circulatory overload, pulmonary edema, and even cell dehydration. It's not just about what's in stock in the supply room. It's about what's right for your patient. And don't forget dextrose solutions like D5 normal saline or D10W. These are sometimes used when patients are NPO and need calories because, well, brains run on sugar. But even then, you have to watch out for vein irritation and fluid overload. Every choice has consequences, and you've got to think it through. All right, so you've picked your fluid. Now what? This is where the real nursing work kicks in. You have to monitor your patient's sodium levels, go slow with hypertonic fluids, and keep an eye out for signs of fluid overload. I'm talking crackles in the lungs, new edema, rapid weight gain, the whole 9 yards. And don't just hang a bag and walk away. Assess your patient first, always. Now let's talk about patient education. Patients see an IV and think it's some kind of magic cure, but you need to explain why they're getting fluids and what to watch for. I always tell them to look out for swelling, trouble breathing, or sudden weight gain. And sometimes explaining crackles and fluid overload to patients is harder than teaching pharmacology to a room full of sleepy nursing students. I mean, try describing crackles without sounding like you're talking about breakfast cereal. It's a challenge. Bottom line, IV fluids are powerful tools, but they're not one size fits all. Pick the right one, monitor closely, and make sure your patient knows what's going on. That's how you keep things from going sideways. Stay sharp, read your orders twice, and for the love of your career, know what's in the drip. Thanks for tuning in to Discussions with Dr. G. Keep learning, keep laughing, and keep those IV cocktails flowing safely. Cheers!